right, hello, Middle School Math 3. Welcome to Tuesday. I will be the one teaching your lesson today. You're not going to be watching a different video. So, we're going to pick up with something we left off with. We just barely introduced this, so we're going to quick rewind and capture that. Now, when you're doing these notes, I have attached a PDF version of this, so if you have a printer, I would print those off and then you can follow along and do these problems with me. If you don't have a printer, that's a-okay too. You will need to get some paper and something to write with. You're going to need something to write with irregardless. Remember, if you just sit back and watch me do these problems, your understanding is going to be a lot lower. All right, you're going to be like, okay, I think that makes sense. But if you actually pick your pen or pencil up and you follow along, and I'll be leaving some pauses in here for you to think on your own and to check back with us. So make sure you are doing that. You'll get so much more out of it and your understanding will be so much deeper of this. So first of all, you see that I can statement. I can find the surface area of a rectangular prism. When we finish this, when you've done your homework, you should be able to say that. If you can't, let me know and I can help you out with that. So first of all, you see that definition for surface area, or for, rectangular prisms. The definition for a rectangular prism is a cylinder with two congruent rectangles as bases. So I have an example of a rectangular prism here. It's just a butter box, right? And there's lots of examples of rectangular prisms in our homes. We notice that it has these congruent bases. And in a rectangular prism, it actually has three pairs, right? We talked about how we would say these top and bottom pieces are bases. These side pieces are bases, as well as these end pieces, right? They're all congruent bases. So we can tip a rectangular prism all different ways, and it will still show us bases. With that in mind, and you guys have already seen problems like this, so let's take. When we are finding surface area of a rectangular prism, we're looking at that prism and we're asking ourselves, how can we find the total amount of area to cover each of these sides? Now, one thing we notice with a rectangular prism is that all the sides are rectangles. And we should ask ourselves, and you guys reviewed this yesterday, how do you find the area of a rectangle? And you should remember it's length times width or base times height. All right, and so we are going to find, and in this case I am showing, you can see it's 1 square inch, an inch by an inch. How many of these would it take to cover this entire thing? So we can simply, and we did talk just a little bit about this, we can find the area of each of these rectangles. Now, if you remember, when we're looking at that rectangular prism, there are some of them that are the same. So let's take a look at example 1 with that in mind. First of all, you guys see this rectangle on the front side here. You can see, and I'll just outline it here, you can see that its length is 10 centimeters and its height, now the height for this rectangle is not posted next to the rectangle. That 5 centimeters is referring to the width of the entire box. Oh boy, this is hard to draw straight. I'll try my best. All right, so you guys can see that rectangle that I pointed out there. It's got a length of 10 centimeters. Okay, so we'll write that off to the side, 10. And what is the width or height of that? What is the width or height of that? If you look back, this 2 refers to the height of the entire thing. So would it be true if we said that this piece right here was 2? Yeah, it is. So to find the area of this rectangle, we're going to do 10 times 2. Now, is there a rectangle that has the same measurements? And you should say yes, the one that is across from it, right? That base that is congruent to it. We can see this rectangle back here, right, is congruent to that one on the front. So we can do 10 times 2 again, or we talked about in class that we could just double it, and that will give us the area of those 2 rectangles. Questions there? I say that out of habit. If you have questions, send me an email or a message and I'll try to help you out. All right, so let's do that. 10 times 2, which is, anybody, 20 times 2 is 40. So the area of those 2 rectangles is 40. You can find each of the rectangles individually, therefore you would need 6, or you can know that there are 2 alike of each type. So if we find the area of 3 and double them, we will have our answer. So let's move on. Let me get rid of this orange here. Now that we've got that front and that back rectangle, let's move to the two ends, okay? And these are not official words, front, back, ends, all right? But it's just helpful for me when I can't point to them that you guys have an idea what I'm talking about. These end rectangles, we have this rectangle here and we have this rectangle here. Again, we have two of them, so we know we're going to double them, right? So I'm just going to put times 2. I know I'm going to have to double them. Now the length, and these measurements are right next to it, right? It is 5 centimeters long and it is 2 centimeters wide or high. So area of a rectangle is again very simple, base times height, length times width. So we're going to say 5 times 2, doubled. 5 times 2, sorry, my email is going off. 5 times 2 is 10, times 2 is 20. All right, we've got 4 of the rectangles area found, the front and back ones, the 2 end pieces. Now let's find that top and bottom area. So let me get rid of the green here, and let's move to purple. All right, looking at this bottom rectangle here, what are the dimensions? And that's mirroring this one, right? So again, we have 2 rectangles, so I'm going to drop in that times 2. What are the dimensions? If you look at that bottom rectangle, what are the dimensions? And you should say 5 times 10, right? Base times height, or length times width. We can see that it is 10 long, 5 wide. All right, 5 times 10 is 50, times 2 is 100. And my writing on is not great. So let's take those 3 areas. Now we know there's 2 rectangles per area, so we have 6 rectangles or 6 sides, which is what a rectangular prism has, and we are going to combine those through addition. So, and we should be able to do this one mentally. 40 plus 20 is 60, plus 100 is 160. Good. And the label on that is not just centimeters, right? It's not a distance. It's how many centimeter by centimeter pieces would it take to cover this. So we're going to use centimeters squared. Remember, you can write that as square centimeters as well. Okay. Moving to example 2. All right, we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be finding the area of this rectangular prism. So let's start with the back and the front rectangle. So we see this rectangle here, okay, and we see this rectangle again with the rectangular prism. The rectangles that are opposite of each other are congruent. They are the same size and the same shape. I hope you remember that definition. Same size and same shape. So if we want to set that up, we can know that we're going to double it. So to find the area of one rectangle, first of all, what is the length and width? Well, on the front here, we see that they give us no length, but if we look to the back, we see this number 8. Is this length here the same as this length here? And the correct answer is yes. All right, so we have 8 long, or 8 as our base, 3 as our height. So base times height, 8 times 3. Okay? 8 times 3, we should be able to do that mentally. 8 times 3 is 24 times 2. You can do this mentally, or off to the side we get 48. All right, let's get rid of that. Let's move on to our next pieces. Let's find these 2 end pieces. So let's look at this rectangle here, and let's look at this rectangle here. Again, they're the same, so I'm going to double whatever I get out. Which 2 numbers show me the length and width of that rectangle? Write them down. Which 2 numbers give me the length and width of those rectangles there? And you should say 3, right, by 4. So we're going to say 3 times 4, and that's being doubled. 3 times 4 is 12 times 2 is 24. All right, we have 4 rectangles down, right? We said these 2 are the same, these 2 are the same, so we just doubled them. Now we have another pair of rectangles to find the area of. The only ones we have not done yet are the bottom one, right? And again, these are not official terms, but that's what we're going to use to refer to them right now. Bottom and top pieces. I'm marking these with yellow so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This rectangle up here and that rectangle that mirrors it on the bottom. Again, there's 2 of them, so we're going to double them. Length and width of that rectangle. What is the length and width of that rectangle? Go ahead and write it down. And if you look on the bottom, there's no measurements given. So we might look to that top one. We notice that it's 8 by 4. Okay. So we have 8 times 4, which we know is 32. Now, if you wanted to, you could also remember multiplication is commutative, right? You can switch them around. So if it's easier for you to do 2 times 4 and then times 8, to do it mentally, you can do it that way, or don't be afraid to write it out either. 8 times 4 is 32, times 2 is 64. All right, we have our 3 numbers, right? Each number represents 2 rectangles. We are going to add them up now. So we have 8, 4, 4, which would give us, go ahead and write it down. Again, I'm going to give you these pauses so that you are working with us here. I'm not just giving you all the answers. 8 plus 4 gives us, should have 16, carry the 1. We have 1, 4, 12, and 6. Go ahead and add those up. Write your answer with a label. When you added that up, you should have gotten 136. And with a label, we'd have 136 yards squared, or square yards. All right, last example. Now, you notice something has changed here. Off to the right, you see something called a net. A net is if we are to take any type of three-dimensional shape and flatten it out. This is just another way to view the problem. It can be really helpful for students to see the shape flattened out like that. So you notice they kind of shaded these a little bit to help you out. Also, those circles in the middle, I don't know why those are there, but we're going to go without, or we're going to go anyway. So with this, I'm just going to have us write directly on these, and I think it'll help us see what's happening. So we see it flattened out. We see it. How many rectangles there? Hopefully you're seeing 6, right? We can see that this rectangle here, right, on the end corresponds with this rectangle here. Now we can't see it, but there's another rectangle that mirrors it. We can see it on the net, however. The net can be a really good way to see what is going on, okay? I'm going to go through, and now let's find the area of those two. So we have this rectangle. What are the dimensions? And you should be seeing the dimensions over here are 4 by 7. We know 4 times 7 is 28, right? And there are 2 of them. I'm going to label them both 28 for now. We'll just do it like that. We'll find the area of each rectangle and write it on top of it, okay? And we could do it the way we were doing the other problems before, but this is just another way to look at it with the net. Okay, so now let's move on to this rectangle on top. You can see that they have it right here and here, right? These two are the same. This rectangle here and this rectangle here. They're just a little bit different color, not sure why. Dimensions on that one, a little bit harder to see. We can see that now there's no length given up here, right? But we know if this is 11, then these are going to be 11 as well. So if you want to write that in, you can. So it's 11, so we're going to do 11 times something. Now what is the width here? Well, the 4 is the height of a prism. The 7 down here corresponds with this side up here, so this side is also 7. To find the area of this, we're going to do 7 times 11, okay? And we should get 77 square inches and 77 for this one as well. All right, and last one, or last two, I should say, we have these rectangles. These are the pieces that are on the front, or this one is on the front, the other one's on the back. We can see this has a length of what? 11, and a width or a height of 4, right? It mirrors over from there. So the area of that piece, there should be some pretty quick mental math here, is 44. This one is also 44. So now we have found the area of the individual rectangles, and we need to just add them up. Let's do a little bit of mental math before we start writing this all out. And I'm going to cross them off as I write them over. So 44 and 44 add up to what? 88, right? So let's copy that over. And then we'll bring the rest over. You could bring them all over. Just saves us a little bit of space because I think we're about to run out. Okay. Yeah, we are about to run out. We'll just get rid of this. Okay. 8 and 8 and 8 and 7 and 7. Go ahead and add those up. So 8 and 8 we know is 16. 16 and 8 give us 24. Okay. 24, now we have those two 7s. 24 plus 7 is 31. And then 31 plus 7 is 38. All right, and you can do this off to the side too. All right, now we have 3, 8, 2, 2, 7, 7. Okay, so let's just work down the line. 3 and 8 is 11. 11 and 2 is 13. 13 and 2, 15. 15 and 7 is 22. And 22 and 7 is 29. I hope I don't make any mistakes in this video because there will be no one raising their hand letting me know. So if there is a mistake, you guys are going to have to shoot me a message. All right. We have our answer 298. Put a label on it, inches squared. All right, that's our lesson for today. Let's talk about our homework. So your homework has 2 portions to it. First portion, I've given you 2 rectangular prisms, and you're going to find the surface area of them. Okay, so we just practiced. Remember that there are those pairs of rectangles. You can find the area for all 6 rectangles, but you can save yourself some time if you find the area of one and double it, find the area of another and double it, and find the area of the other rectangle and double it, okay? Now, you can submit this to me in an email, or you can submit this to me in an Edmodo message. You can just drop those numbers in an email. Might be the easiest way and the most sure way, because Edmodo's just had some problems lately. The second part of your homework, so you have those 2 problems to do. The second part, you're going to find a rectangular prism in your house. You're going to draw a net, and you're going to find the total surface area. To show me that you did this, okay, you're going to take a picture with the net, the item, and the total surface area, and you're going to email it to me. So let me show you an example. So I scrounged around my house, and I found a rectangular prism, this butter box, okay? Then I drew a net. Okay, so I pretend like I flattened out my butter box, okay, and I drew the net, and I labeled it with the measurements. Now, when you do your measurements, you can do some rounding, okay? We don't have to get into all these decimals, so it's not going to be exactly the same, but you can round. If you have a ruler, you'll use that. I think a lot of people have tape measures. That's what I ended up using. I didn't have a ruler this time. Or you can print a ruler off if you really don't have one. Then, once I've found my item, step 1. Step 2, draw the net. Step 3, find the total surface area. And I just wrote that here on my, oh, this is backwards. Okay, piece of paper. Then to submit it to my teacher, I would just put both of these things next to each other, and I'll snap a photo of it and email it to Miss Wilkin at kwilkin@rcchristian.org. If you're having trouble with this, just do it, and then we'll figure out how to submit it. If worst comes to worst, we really could wait till next week. I just don't want to have 5 days of homework come in next week. So the more that we can get submitted this week, the better. So you're going to do those 2 problems, and you're going to do this short project. You can put this all in an email or an Edmodo message to me, and it is due Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. But obviously you'll probably want to get that done after you watch this video. So let me know if you have questions. Email does seem to be the best way. I'm getting all of those and trying to respond as quickly as possible to them. Have a great day. Please use your time wisely at home. Don't just use it to watch TV or do things that you enjoy, although I hope you do those things too. But use this time to be in prayer for other people and just use it wisely and enjoy it. All right, talk to you later.